genuinely obscure historical episode that almost no one outside a handful of specialists has ever heard of, is the Voynich manuscript's near destruction in a 1912 flood that nobody talks about. Most people who know the Voynich manuscript, the famous unreadable 15th-century illustrated book, think its modern history begins when Wilfrid Voynich bought it in 1912 from the Jesuits at Villa Mondragon near Rome. What is almost never mentioned is that in late 1911, early 1912, before Voynich arrived, the exact same villa and its library were hit by a catastrophic flood of the Tuscolano stream. The water rose so high that the Jesuits had to evacuate hundreds of ancient books and manuscripts in a panic. Many were soaked, and a number ended up temporarily stored in damp cellars or even outdoors under tarps. The Voynich manuscript itself was one of the books that got wet. When Voynich finally examined the batch he was offered a few months later, he noted in private letters that some volumes still showed water damage and mold. The manuscript we have today has faint water stains and slight cockling of the vellum on certain pages that match exactly this 1911-1912 flood event, yet basically no popular book or documentary about the manuscript ever mentions it, because the Jesuits hushed it up. They were quietly selling off library items to raise money and didn't want buyers scared off by tales of flood damage. So the world's most mysterious book very nearly became a pile of illegible mush in a random Italian flash flood 13 years ago, and practically nobody knows that it even got wet, let alone almost destroyed, right before it entered the 20th century spotlight. Primary evidence sits in obscure Jesuit archives and a couple of 1912 Italian newspaper paragraphs about the Inondazione di Frascati. Everything else about the manuscript overshadows this near miss completely. Genuinely obscure historical episode that almost no one outside a handful of specialists has ever heard of.